In Civ 6, or Civilization 6, I have 5 secret strategies that no one makes use of. These 5 strategies are unique and not only the most broken, unstoppable monstrosities you'll ever see, but also some of the most fun games you'll ever have. And if you have any other strategies I didn't list, let me know down below in the comments, and leave a like if you do enjoy the video, as it does help out the channel a ton. We'll start with the probable thumbnail, which might be awkward if I use another thumbnail, but whatever. The first Civilization 6 secret strategy we have being Macedon and the Venetian arsenal. Now, as you know, Macedon is one of the best domination civs in the entire game, with Macedon being able to create soldiers out of thin air after capturing cities with wonders, along with 2 elite domination units. But that domination is mainly focused on land, with the Paspists, Heterois, and the unique encampment building. So what is the Venetian arsenal doing here? Well, Macedon and their unique ability have a secret-ish type of thing, I guess, with their barracks giving 25% of a produced unit's production cost to the national science output. So if I build a 40 production cost unit, and then after I finish it, I get 10 science. Now, this works for both land and sea units, and one of my commenters in the last couple of videos said Venetian Arsenal Macedon, and guess what? It works. The Venetian Arsenal gives you an extra copy of any naval unit you produce. And before that, I thought it didn't count for Macedon's bonuses, because it wasn't technically a built unit, it's just an extra unit. It turns out I was wrong. That's right, the Venetian Arsenal, you are pretty much getting double the science output from building units navally as Macedon, letting you skyrocket through the tech tree when you realize that you can consistently do this, and by the time the late game comes around, when you're building units in 5 turns because of the Ruhr Valley, industrial zone, production improvements, and stuff like that, you're probably looking at 120 science every 3 to 5 turns max in just one city, meaning if that city just produced units, you are getting an extra 24 to 30 science per turn in just one city thanks to the Venetian arsenal if you're just building caravels. This gets higher and higher the later on in the game you are, with battleships, cruisers, and other naval units like aircraft carriers. This isn't even all of it though, as you can plug in the double naval production policy card along with fascism for an extra 50% production towards units, giving you a 150% production boost to units, and technically meaning instead of let's say 30 science, you'll be getting double plus 50% of that, meaning you'll have about 75 science per turn from just building one caravel every turn, I guess, in a technical science output per turn, if that does make any sense. Instead of building land units, you are going to be building naval units with the Venetian arsenal, unironically making you one of the best science civs in the entire game. This, along with decent campus locations in a regular science type victory, along with your other cities building units, lets you keep that #1 science ranking easily, along with all those other units that you can either delete if you're struggling with money, or as an invasion force to wipe out other civs in a domination victory, since you will have the tech advantage with all the units you're producing to generate science. With this strategy, you're probably looking at secretly one of the best science civs in the entire game that takes almost nothing away from a potential domination run, which is just insane to think about. After looking at all that goodness we just witnessed from Macedon and the Venetian arsenal, this next strategy might not be the best, but is still extremely effective with Pericles and Barbarian Clans mode, along with Kilwa, Kisanawa, and Civilization 6. Pericles already gets enough envoys to dominate the entire game with a free envoy every unique district you build, and with the Barb Clans mode and infinite cap on city-states, you can stay near an encampment to get the first envoy when it turns into a city-state. But not only that, the big thing about this strategy is Kilwa, Kisinawa, along with Himiko. Let's start with Kilwa, one of the best wonders in the entire game that really depends on what cities you have near you. If you have 3 religious city-states, it might not be very strong, but if you get 3 science or culture city-states, that might be a little bit better for Pericles, giving you 15% extra of that city-state's yields per city, and an extra 15% in the city that has Kilwa. With the Barbarian Clans mode, you will have at least 2 of whatever city-state it is you want, so this might be the game where even I build a scout. But enough of that, the real thing about this strategy, the real nut tickler if you will, is Himiko. Himiko has multiple charges to get enough envoys in a city-state to become its suzerains, and you can even faith buy her every era. This means with all the charges she has, along with all the envoys you're already getting, we're looking at complete domination in any diplomatic game you have. And you can use this in a number of ways. Pericles already gets 5% extra culture for every city-state. You also get all that Diplo favor from all those city-state allies, and you can even levy their units if you want for a domination run. You just essentially have multiple avenues to win the game, and you can even go domination if you want, since you'll get fascism before anyone else, giving you the 5 combat strength bonus for every unit, and with all the city-state levies, you won't even need to build an actual army, and just send your vassal swarm to wipe out to whatever civ doesn't submit to your diplomatic dominance, like the modern-day CIA. Okay, I don't want to get the South American socialist treatment, so moving on. With a number of ways to play the game, the best strategy is still going to be going for a culture victory, since all of this, as well as 2 culture city-states, gives you 15% culture in each city, which might as well be 15% extra culture throughout your entire empire, give or take, as well as 15% extra culture for that city that has Kilwa, and also Pericles' ability gives an extra 5% culture for every city-state you're suzerain of. All those bonuses, and if we say there are 10 city-states you're suzerain of in most games, I mean, you have Himiko, you're going to get at least 10 suzerains. That's about 65% extra culture in your entire empire, as a rough estimate from just playing Cold War Simulator and grabbing every neutral city-state you can get your hands on. And if you are enjoying the video, leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on future content. What is that future content? I don't know yet, but you won't ever know if you don't subscribe, so choose wisely. Next up on this meta-breaking crusade of Civilization 6, we have Eleanor and her Voidsingers. Now, Voidsingers is already strong, but this is taken to another level, with Eleanor, who wants to look at your cities deductively and break their will before growing her own empire without firing a single shot. And to do that, you need stuff like the Mona Lisa and other cultural artifacts, which are hard to come by in the early game. Even then, if you are able to blitz your way through writing, you might not have great work slots, or enough of them at least, to house enough great works to get enemy cities to switch sides like an Italian in 1945. Voidsingers fixes all of these issues while giving you another loyalty advantage on top of that, so let's go in order. Firstly, just by grabbing Voidsingers, you are going to get the Old God Obelisk, which gives you 1 great work slot of whatever you want. You can take a photo of a steaming pile of Taco Bell-induced shit if you want, and put it up in the obelisk if you want. The obelisk does not care what artifact you have, so neither do you, and having to pick a specific great work, or having to keep a great writer or artist without really doing anything in the mid-game in order to place it in an open slot when the obelisk is pretty much just another monument, so it will be built in every city anyways. This extra slot is huge, giving you up to 20 potential slots by the mid-game after your culture conversion has taken off the ground. Skipping the next ability is what we're not going to do, since even though it doesn't directly help with Eleanor and her strategy in Civ 6, it still gives you all the yields you could want from just having any sort of faith output, which, with the obelisks and their 4 faith each, you should get a massive boost to science, culture, and gold, letting you take over those yields games rather sooner than later, but we aren't done yet, because the best ability is third with the cultist unit, who fits Eleanor perfectly. With the cultist, every charge you use reduces enemy loyalty in their city by about 10. With 10 cultists, you can do all of that in 1 turn, giving you a free city every turn, give or take, but that isn't why you want them, no. Even though they help in loyalty reduction, you already have enough of that. What you need is great works, and every time a cultist preaches about committing treason for the last time, it dies and leaves behind his or her shoes or necklace, or even white substance-stained pants, I don't know. What I do know is that these count as great works, allowing you to reduce enemy loyalty even further, and at this point, this can be huge, since you'll have all the great works you need with all the slots filled out if you haven't already, which is exactly what gets you snowballing. And if you're still struggling to reduce enemy loyalty, then the cultists will give you that little nudge you need to get the snowball going, because the snowball will get going. You could grab a grand total of 1 city in the first 100 turns, and by turn 150, you'll have won a domination victory. That's how out of hand the French Eleanor and even English Eleanor can get, and will get if you stick with it and play her right in Civilization 6. Nubia is already one of the best civs with their Nubian pyramids and archers as fast as the Flash with their extra movement speed, who, unlike the Flash, you can safely have your kids around. But this strategy focuses on desert folklore work ethic, along with their unique pyramids for the fastest science victory you will ever see. Nubia automatically starts near the desert in most games, and with that, desert folklore is perfect to have at least 1 or 2 cities with double-digit faith generation, and eventually, with the work ethic religious belief, you're looking at all of that faith turning into production, which means you'll have all that extra production for science victory, which is really the victory type that's the most production intensive. Now, that's not all, since you still have one thing to complete the holy production science victory trinity, and that is the Nubian pyramid. The Nubian pyramid gives you between 20 to 40% production when building districts, which the spaceport does count as a district. All that production is already strong enough, but you add in a 40% boost in cities who have a Nubian pyramid right beside the city that's building it, and you'll have spaceports out faster than you'll even know what to do with, and the benefit to that is that you can build them now in almost every city. Now, why would you need to do that when you could just use one and take it to victory? Well, even though you can use one spaceport and still win a game decently easily, the reason you have multiple is twofold. One, it provides production in case someone pillages your spaceports in a close game. Think of it like a pseudoscience victory condom in Civilization 6. But the other reason is that by the time you launch the exoplanet expedition and you need to reach the 50-turn threshold, you can have all your cities working on the booster parts to get a shockingly fast time to completion, which is only really possible with Nubia thanks to the pyramid's production boost, since most cities in most games won't have the production to actually build spaceports in less than 40 turns, making it not worth it in most cases. You'll be able to cut out 20 turns in most cases from that space race victory, since again, with Desert Folklore, you're already building everything faster anyways, including space parts and production, which is the real limiting factor in most games, is what you have to worry about in most instances, rather than science. Production limits most science victories in my experience rather than science. And finally, we have an admittedly weak strategy in Civilization 6 to end this video off. It isn't bad, this is still the 5 best secret strategies, but it's not Macedon discover nuclear fusion by building 8 ships level of strong. And that is Jadwiga's Crusade. Now, Poland has one of the weirdest spread religious abilities in the game, with a fort and encampment creating culture bombs that can and will convert whatever cities have their tiles lost to a Polish culture bomb to your majority religion. Now, by doing this to one or multiple cities, they will follow your majority religion, which is usually the religion you yourself have founded, and with that you can use Crusade effectively. While nowhere near as strong as Byzantium and their Crusade-using abilities, it's still one powerful ability letting you move your units into the city. Don't take the city though, you want to wipe out as many units the enemy sends as reinforcements as you can. This is the big part because once you take the city, you have to either wait until you can get another fort for another culture bomb, or just keep going without Crusade. This is an extremely strong strategy since Crusade gives 10 combat strength for all your units in enemy territory that follows your religion, and while that might not seem like much, it's pretty much as strong as being an era ahead of your enemy. While you can do this with any civs by using missionaries, it is tedious, and you have to spend a large amount of faith and multiple charges, or missionaries even, to get it converted. But with just the culture bomb, you can convert in one go, declare war, and pillage any religious units who might convert the city back, which also does the thing of reducing that religion's religious pressure by pillaging the unit, if that makes sense, and indirectly increasing your own religion throughout other cities, giving you a sort of mini base to take out whatever unit the AI sends your way into a Battle of the Somme-style meat grinder. The most important thing is to not take the city and move on until you've taken out enough units, preferably all of them, but if they stop sending units, then you can go take the city and walk through the rest of their empire, since they shouldn't make or have any more units aside from the stragglers here and there. Have any other strategies? Leave them down below in the comments, and leave a like if you enjoy. I'll see you all next time. Peace.